Welcome back, dear viewers, and on this beautiful morning we're joined by a scientific researcher with 24 years of distinguished service in the Coastal and Marine Resources Program, known as CMRP at the Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research, KISR, has led and contributed to more than 15 oceanographic and coastal research projects funded nationally and internationally. Her work has advanced also in knowledge of marine biodiversity. So, dear viewers, let's all welcome Dr. Manal Alkandari from the KISR Department at Scientific Research, Coastal and Marine Resources. Good morning to you, Dr. Manal.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be talking to you on this beautiful morning, and we'd love a description about you, please.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, and hopefully you will be interesting with my research.
Inshallah. So would you please give us a little brief about yourself and where you worked exactly?
Okay, I am a scientific researcher at, as you mentioned, the Coastal and Marine Resources Program at Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research. I am specialized on molecular biology and marine biodiversity of the intertidal fauna and also the microalgae species, taxonomy and ecology.
All right, that's pretty interesting to know, dear viewers, about our guest, Dr. Manal. And Dr. Manal, would you please elaborate more on your recent projects or the projects you are researching for the future?
Yeah, I led many of the marine biodiversity projects and which depend on documentation of the species identity and distribution, richness of the fauna, and also establish a voucher specimens for these species. And thanks God, from several projects, we resulted with identifying of more than 900 species of intertidal fauna. Moreover, I worked also on projects on the harmful algal blooms in Kuwait, focusing on the toxins and harmful algal bloom causative species. So for both the intertidal fauna and for microalgae, we use for identification a combination of both the morphological, which we call it the traditional method, and also the molecular biology to confirm their identity.
All right, that's pretty interesting and specific. You said 900 species of algae in Kuwait here, right?
Of fauna. Yeah.
All right. So what's the difference between, I know algae looks like seaweed a little bit. Yeah. What's fauna exactly so we can
fauna
understand?
Here, the animals, and especially I worked on the intertidal area and shallow water. Okay. So in the intertidal area, there are many animals such as the mollusca, like gastropods, bivalves, sea slugs, also the octopus, and the other groups such as the crustaceans like true crabs, hermit crabs, porcelain crabs, shrimps, and also the stomatopod, which we call them the mantis shrimp, and also the marine worms, which we call it the marine polychaetes, and the echinoderms such as the sea urchin, starfish, sea cucumber, sand dollar, and also the fish, which is also in the intertidal area, and other groups. I just mentioned only the common one, but we have also other groups in the intertidal area.
Yes, but mashallah, this is pretty beautiful. Specific research that you are doing. I'm sure it's interesting, it's beautiful to look at, and we want to know more about the faunal groups and the ones living here on our Kuwaiti shores.
Yeah. We have many species, but you mean you want the common species?
Yes, the common species.
Of course, I just say the common groups, but in each group there is a common species. And also, this common species, it depends on the substrate. For example, let's say the fish in the muddy area, you find the common species is the mud skipper, which we locally call it bushalambo. Okay. This is an example. This is species of fish always common in the muddy area. And also there is gastropod like ceratids also, which we call them the muddy species. And for example, in the sandy, we have many common species. It depends if it's gastropod or bivalves or others. The same with the rocky. Like sometimes some rock covered by oyster reefs, and it's common there. And sometimes in the rocky area, you see the tubes that cover the rock.
Yes.
This is, let's say, the home for the marine polychaetes, which is the marine worms.
Wow. So, Dr. Manal Alkandari, you want to know more about the marine biodiversity here in our beautiful state of Kuwait. Are we considered rich in marine biodiversity?
Yes, the marine biodiversity is very rich in Kuwait. Why? Because our coastal areas have different substrate.
Okay.
So we have the sandy, muddy, rocky, and sometimes mix of sandy, muddy, muddy, rocky, and sometimes of the three of them, sandy, rocky, and muddy.
Yes.
And when increased these substrates, it's increased as well the marine biodiversity. Because as I mentioned, sandy substrate has its unique sandy species. Muddy substrate have the muddy species, rocky, the rocky species. And not also the substrate, also we have the many habitats which could be the animal itself, a home for other species. Like for example, the algae, it's also a home for phyto and for amphibod, isopod. And the sponges, when you open it, you will find inside it brittle star, a shrimp, a crab. We identify inside this type of the sponges. Also the coral reefs have its unique species. Oyster reef, like for example, the oyster reef cover the big rock in Bobian Island, which we locally call it Booger Bobian. So also the dead shells or the empty shells important as a habitat for the hermetic crabs. And I don't know if you know that the intertidal area, when I mention it and to study it, we select the lowest tide time and day, because we want to see all the zonations, to cover them all. We have the high tide, then we go to the mid, then we go to the lowest tide. And every zonation also have its unique species.
That's pretty interesting, mashallah. And Dr. Manal, do you see a lot of students approaching this kind of scientific research, coming to KISR and learning from your institution? And what kind of species have you recently detected, like new species to Kuwait and new species that you documented also?
Yes, actually I have many volunteers interested in my work from marine sciences in Kuwait University. They always come with me and trained on how to collect the specimens, how we process them in the lab, do the DNA, and also identify them. And about the discovery, yes, we have many species. With every project, thanks God, we discover more new species. Sometimes these species only reported as a new record to Kuwait, but others a new record to Kuwait, Arabian Gulf, and the Arabian region. And others which will be new to science globally. And it's described from Kuwait. And they have many species belonging to many groups. For example, the mollusca, we have many species which is described globally in science. And also we have marine polychaetes, we have isopods, many species. And we always name them either due to the location where we find it, or to unique characteristics that characterize this species, or for a honor of an expert. And we always document this in the international journal.
This is really cool. As you said, you also collaborate with the other Gulf countries in documenting new species. You know, Dr. Manal, I've been to Bahrain many times, and I've seen other species of rocks and different kinds of rocks around, and also fish. So how do you monitor the situation and assess everything with the collaboration of the GCC also?
Yeah, we do many workshops with the GCC, and I'm happy that we did in KISR a lot of identification guide which was not available previously. And I am happy that when I met people expert in marine biodiversity from the Arabian Gulf, I'm happy that always they said we use KISR book. I mean the Kuwaiti book in universities, schools for identification. And also regarding how to assess, we need first to build a database. We call it scientific baseline database for these marine biodiversity. We try as much as possible to collaborate through projects, and hopefully we will have very soon a project with the Arabian Gulf on the marine biodiversity to make as a master list of the species in the region.
Hopefully, Dr. Manal, such beautiful insights and information you have provided for us, and I'm sure our dear viewers also loved the information that you gave us. So I'd love to really thank you for joining us here on Good Morning Kuwait, and we are so happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're most welcome, Dr. Manal. So dear viewers, let's all thank the coming of Dr. Manal Alkandari, a scientific researcher at the Coastal and Marine Resources Program in Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research, KISR. So dear viewers, let's move on and talk about laboratories in general, starting from school labs to major labs like medical and so on. And we shall look at it in this next report, so stay tuned.